Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 48, I believe, of the wonderful world of Illuna. And this is the long anticipated, I don't even know what to call it, chopped and edited video. So, instead of doing what I normally do, where I just provide a running narration whilst playing, this was actually recorded all beforehand, and now I'm doing a narration to an edited version that has bits and pieces cut out to eliminate some of the boringness. So, as you may recall, if you watched the previous episode, I hired this amateur city designer who did not have a lot of forethought and designed the city on an even grid, I guess technically. So there was 4 spaces between buildings, which, I mean, it's great until you want to put lights into like the streets, I guess we'll call them, the pathways between the buildings, and you realize that you can't place a centered light on 4 nodes because that's not the way that things work. So basically, I tore apart everything and kind of just built bigger buildings for the most part, and kind of redid layouts here and there. And this, my friends, is why I use dirt to mock stuff in, because it's relatively quick to dig, and I got so much of it that there is no danger of running out of materials while doing it. So the jail here became quite a bit larger, so it might change from being a jail. That's still the plan for it right now, is that this will be the jail, which is why the floor is being dug in. The dirt that's placed up as the walls and then the surrounding layer in there will be replaced with stone probably at some point. And then yeah, it was just going on and expanding other buildings out larger because, well, come on, let's be real. If we're going to make the pathway smaller, the only real way to accomplish that is by making the buildings larger, or making the walls on the buildings thicker and keeping the insides the same size. But that honestly would just be pretty dumb. So the stable got a little makeover, which is probably good. I mean, that means you can put more horses in it. And the what were they called? I don't remember. The people that take care of the horses. I will just call them stable boys. They have a little larger of a space for living quarters available to them now because the building is made larger. So that's always good. It's nice to have your, I don't want to say employees, but it's nice to have reasonable accommodation for people in the castle. Because, I mean, if the castle was attacked, these people all have to be able to live inside of the castle, assuming they ran to it before the enemy showed up, which isn't necessarily always a wise idea because you're kind of trapped once you're in the castle. If you're on the outside, you can kind of keep running. But that's hopefully not anything that the people living in this castle will ever have to worry about. And then I decided, because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for the rest of the layout, that I would spend a little bit of time putting these walls up higher because I was getting some issues with some monsters getting in. And I'm not positive if they were spawning inside or if they were jumping the walls. As I was going around making the walls taller, I did find a few spots where they could climb over, and I'm thinking that's how they were getting in, but it could have been that there just wasn't enough light on the inside and that they were actually spawning inside. Not positive, but it's nice to have a taller wall to keep away the dirt monsters, like this guy right here, which ran away from, and then my good friend the bear killed him for me. So I didn't even have to do anything. I mean, how great is that? That this bear realizes I'm the king and does my dirty work. Which I mean, I guess it's no big deal. Here's another one. This guy can't get in, though, because there is a large drop. But he wandered around for a while trying to. But this castle's just built too strong. It's too good. And it's not even done yet. Like, these walls are not completed. The little walkways on the insides aren't done. So much more work still needs doing. This front little lip thing here, I don't know what you necessarily call that, but that should, I think, make it impossible for any kind of monsters to jump up and in, because they'd have to be a space away from the wall. I don't know. It just seemed like it was a nice little touch. Plus, it gives I don't want to say a railing, but it gives a railing so you can't fall off the edge of the wall. And if you're like an archerer or somebody else with a ranged weapon, you have something kind of protecting your lower half. And I was planning, and I shouldn't start everything with but in the previous episode I actually wanted to do a well, but I didn't. So I kind of doing a well here. I don't know if it's really a well because it's above ground where the water is going to be, but I'll dump water in that from right over there eventually. And then I will have an unlimited water supply because it's a 2x2 space, so all four will be sources, and I can grab from any of them. And the adjacent nodes will turn the flowing water back into a source, and I will have infinity water, which I don't really think I'm going to need water for probably anything else here. I might put a little thing of water in the horse stable, just so the horses have some water. But I don't think anything else inside of here is going to need water. Possibly putting some farms in and stuff across that bridge, I might use water. And I don't know. I was thinking of doing a moat around the castle, but I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. Because I feel like this castle maybe should have like another wall further out that's like the border of the kingdom, or at least a somewhat more protected space. And then around that there would be a moat. But I wouldn't have a moat between the outer wall and the castle. But because the only way to get to the castle anyway is across that bridge, I don't know. I'd have to knock a hole through the wall someplace for another door, which it's not a big deal. I mean, I can dig through it pretty easily. But I haven't really made up my mind, so I'm not positive what I'm going to do there. I guess we'll find out in future episodes as I do things and then destroy them because I don't like how they turned out, and redo them and, just keep repeating over and over and over because, well, that's the way we do things on this show. So in a little bit here, we're going to start doing the houses. So keeping with the pathways 3 nodes wide, I went with, I think the houses in quotes are all, I want to say they're 6x6. So that gives maybe they're 7x7. I don't know. It's a decent amount of space on the inside. They're all just going to be real small houses. Nothing too impressive or fancy because there's really not the space for that. So, but you have to have something. Otherwise, it's just a giant empty castle, and that looks weird too. So, but I extended out the stable a little bit, and the living quarters for the people in the stable here, and then I'm not really sure what the other giant building is going to be next to it. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be something for like the knights to live in, because like the king's got his castle, so there's no place for him to live. But I think the knights, they need like a big hall or something. So I think that's what that large building will be that we just saw a few seconds ago. Did some tweaking around here for the inside. Figured that with making the living space larger, I could probably allot more space to the horses. Because, I mean, I've never actually, like, done anything with horses in real life. But I assume they kind of need some space. So I figured I'd give them some extra space on the inside. So in inclement weather... Oh, excuse me. So in inclement weather, they have, a safe place to be so the bowling ball-sized hail doesn't knock them out. Assuming the roof of the building is strong enough and it doesn't get crushed. But, it's nice to have a nice little space for your horses to be safe. So here's the house base space thing. They're all going to be kind of cookie cutter. They're all the exact same size, exact same spacing. I'll do some variations between materials probably. But I don't know if the insides are really going to be furnished. I mean, I'll do floors and windows and doors and stuff, but as far as like actually doing interiors, I don't think so. Not right away anyways. Maybe like in the distant future we'll do something, but I mean, realistically speaking, I have a giant hotel sitting across the river or the bay. I guess it's more of a bay that has like 2 decorated furnished rooms and the rest still need to be finished. And I haven't touched those because, I just really haven't had the time. So that is my excuse. I haven't had the time. I've been busy with real life stuff. And interior decorating is really not my strong point in mind test. I'm really not super good at it. Of course, in real life, I'm decent, but you don't have to deal with voxel constraints in real life. You can kind of shove your sofa wherever you want, and when you build your own sofa, you can make it whatever size you want. You're not stuck to voxel grids that everything has to line up to. So it's a little easier in real life. So all the houses were done, but obviously nobody wants to see all of that getting done. So, well, I shouldn't say the houses are done, but the spacing for they'll be, and I put lights in the corners to hopefully keep it light enough to keep monsters out. Whether or not that actually worked, I don't know so well. But there we got the water, and I decided I would do a decorative marble pedestal. It's not really a pedestal because it's not under it. What would you consider this? A wall? I don't know. A border? I mean, I guess technically it is a border. It does keep the water inside. Enclosure? I don't really know what you would call it. But whatever you would call it, I made it out of marble and it looks pretty good. I'm not sure. I was thinking about putting like a roof over it, but I don't know how I would actually go about doing that. Like I could do something with fence posts and some slabs or something for a roof, and maybe at some point in the future I'll come back to it and try to do something, but I feel like it would end up being way too big and it would end up looking really weird. So I don't know. I'll figure something out in the future, I'm sure. But yeah, so I made these little quarter blocks, which I thought were gonna be full height, but turns out they're only 7/8 tall, which isn't what I wanted, but I mean, it's okay, but I won't be able to stack anything on top of them perfectly. So that's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. Here I decided that it was time to put some street lights up. So I'm throwing 2 fence posts on top of each other, and then on top of that I'll do those light blocks things, wooden light block, I think is what it said there on the screen. And these are a little on the expensive side. They're not expensive at all. I just didn't have the materials on hand. So I made some, but I'm going to need more torches, so I have to get more coal, which I think I have a whole bunch sitting someplace. So it's really not a huge deal. But until I get them, I'm just going to use torches for temporary light, which torches and these boxes put out the same amount of light. So you're getting the same effect. The only difference is obviously that, well, a torch looks like a torch, and the light box things, yeah, they look like light boxes, which, in my opinion, looks a little nicer. Like if you imagine like a medieval setting, just a open torch like that, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of a fire hazard. Plus, it only would last, for so long, and then the torch would just burn itself up. Whereas these light box things, you might have like an oil lamp inside of there with some. If they didn't have glass, they probably would have been using either like animal skin or even intestines stretched out. Which sounds kind of weird that they would use animal intestines to do that, but I mean, that's kind of what they use to stuff sausages. So they can get it thin. But yeah, so that's what it would have been around there with a lamp on the inside. And that way, if it rained or something, your torch doesn't get put out. But I didn't have enough materials to make a bunch of those light boxes. So I just opted to use torches. It'll still give me the exact same amount of lighting, and I'll be able to tell if it'll be enough to keep monsters at bay, or if I'll have to do further lighting. Which I suppose I could always put torches like on the front doors of houses and stuff. I don't really want to, but it would be possible. And it would be doable. So that's kind of what the place looks like currently. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this new edited style. I don't know if I'll do it much more because it's difficult. But thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.